Welcome to Work in Progress, Conversations with Creators. I'm your host, Logan Roy Spiteman. On today's program, I have with me Jerry Wellman, a Santa Fe-based artist who's been doing amazing stuff for years, and he has a show coming up at Zaguan called Navigators, Edges of Becomings, and I hope that you enjoy our conversation.
If you enjoy our podcast, please like and subscribe and consider becoming a digital subscriber to the Albuquerque Journal to help us bring you more content like this. You can find this episode and all of our podcasts on the Albuquerque Journal website, abqjournal.com, as well as YouTube, iTunes, and Spotify. See the show notes for a discount code on a digital subscription. Thank you for supporting the Albuquerque Journal, New Mexico's leading news.
All right, Jerry, thanks for joining me today.
Oh, man, it's my pleasure.
No, this is exciting. So you have a big show coming up, and why don't you tell us about it?
Well, El Zaguan is a historic house on Canyon Road, and I'm very pleased to be showing this. It's more of a comprehensive piece of my work than I've done in quite some time. Part of the idea that I had was to show these installments of a large installation I'm working on, and I wanted to do it in unusual places. Mm-hmm. So I did one right here in Albuquerque at the Ace Barbershop.
Yeah,
which I felt really, really worked well, and another one I did in a shed in Taos. Outside Revolt Gallery.
Yeah.
And the first one I did was in a store window, but it's part of the H.O. Mano Gallery on Palace.
Yeah.
So I kind of came up with this notion when I was with Jordan. When I said to Jordan, maybe I'll do a tour.
You're talking about Jordan Eddy from Southwest Contemporary?
Yeah, that's right. And I said, maybe I'll just do a tour. And so I don't know how that came up. And I said, well, I just reached out to a bunch of different I shouldn't say odd, but, unusual venues to show art.
Yeah.
And they almost all said, yeah, let's go for it. So it became what I call the Navigators tour.
Yeah, and we'll get into the Navigators series and what that means, but what's the impulse to put art in places that people may not expect it or that aren't traditional art venues?
It's, right now there's a lot of questioning about the art gallery situation and that it's promoted mostly through collector base, and which is another way of saying a collector is somebody who collects stuff. But a lot of those guys are doing it as a augmentation to their investments, right. At least in New York. Mm. And so it's odd. I've always thought about this. When you're a kid, you love art.
Yeah.
Every kid loves the art, making it, whatever, and then something happens and it becomes something, untouchable and elevated.
Yeah.
And I don't know what happens where that slips up. So I wanted to kind of reintroduce that feeling of wonder and unexpected experience that you gather when you note art. I happen to think of art in a wider definition as well.
Yeah.
So barbershop, yes. Barbering, probably an art form too.
Uh-huh. Sure. So. Yeah. No, I love that. And I agree with you. And I think, I'm really happy I have my job I have now, because for many years I worked in art galleries, which it's kind of great in a set, it's almost what I love because I love art, I love artists, but I don't love the business side of it. I don't love selling it or shipping it or all those other things. And I do think that there's something, it's nice to just be able to approach art now and have it be about the feelings and the thoughts that it evokes and not about the price tag.
once upon a time, art, I mean, I don't know because I wasn't there.
Yeah.
But you go to the caves in France or you look at what we call petroglyphs.
Right.
They were not called petroglyphs back then, but what was going on? You know, it just really piques my curiosity. Or even like these santos up in northern New
Sure.
Mexico, or that same tradition, the shrine, the people making shrines in Italy or wherever. You know, this is universal.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it didn't require an art gallery in order for it to happen.
Yeah.
I'm not sure how these people were supported, but even this notion of being supported is, or, you know, labor and all that stuff. We won't go into Marx or anything like that. But,
Yeah.
all of these are questions that occur to me as an art maker and an art appreciator. I don't want to drift off too far.
No, I
here.
mean, but it is weird, like the art world, because I feel like artists tend to be, you know, kind of generally speaking, more towards the left or progressive side of the political spectrum. Collectors, not necessarily. Dealers, I don't know. But it's kind of like you're, as an artist, especially, you know, if you don't already have like a big market for your work, you know, you're dependent on these, you know, it's just like, it's almost like the old aristocratic patronage system. You know, you have some wealthy collectors, and if they, you know, for whatever reason, get interested in your work, they can support your career. But there's like such a power imbalance in that, you know. And sorry, I think I'm getting off topic too.
Well,
but you brought it up, and it's interesting that you're doing something outside of that in a way, you know.
Well, you think back in the Renaissance, early Renaissance, all that stuff,
Yeah.
the church was a major patron.
Sure.
But the church does not have the power and credibility or anything like it did back then. It's sort of weird. I mean, I don't want to go off into all this talk about capitalism. I want to talk about art, but isn't it weird though? I mean, it's capitalism that is the new patron of the arts. And,
Right.
But art speaks to, well, like in the church, that all those people were, well, you could say it's propaganda, but I don't think of it that way. It
Yeah.
speaks to higher purposes or aspiration.
Right.
And that's what interests me as an artist.
So let's talk about the art and talk about the Navigators.
It's odd. I started this whole project thinking in terms of how you can gather advice or direction from anywhere. Hence, navigators are everywhere. Like you're being a navigator to me right now, in a way. But then this microphone could be a navigator too. And in fact, it kind of is, because it's creating a focus for me and for you. So I was thinking about navigators in a very general kind of way. Or you could say, hesitate to use the word, but a mystic, mysticism, all those kind of words, which unfortunately they use nowadays to sell underarm deodorant. And,
Sure, right.
you know, all
Again,
that
money
stuff.
ruins everything, right? That's the theme of the.
Well, no, it doesn't. I mean, money is a necessary, you know, like if I was a farmer growing corn or something, and you were an auto dealer or something like that, I'm not going to be able to pay you with corn.
Sure,
So money's okay.
sure.
It's just if that's your major pursuit is gathering, collecting, doing whatever it takes to have more and more money. I mean, I don't know. I don't have that in me, and I don't know very many people who are like that.
Yeah.
And it's funny that we're dancing around so much with economic issues, but it's part of the deal too.
Yeah.
If we're thinking in terms of meaning, which is also a big portion of what drives me as an artist, is how to make meaning of the situation that we're in, or at least how to enjoy the situation we're in.
Yeah, well, I think it's good. We do need enjoyment in our lives as well. I want to hear more. So, So you've sent me some images. I know you're still working on the project, but you know what I mean. Your work is really interesting because you'll combine. I mean, you do painting, you do installation, you do sort of more text-based or idea-based art, and you want art to be experiences. So, talk about like what are people going to see if they go to the gallery?
It's funny, but I don't know how they're gonna. I totally don't know how they're gonna experience it, and sometimes I have a kind of an assemblage approach.
Right.
So I'm using all different items and all different things. And just as when we were first talking today, I mentioned that you were in the position of being a navigator at this moment. And I also mentioned this object here as being a navigator in this moment. And it goes along with this kind of a philosophical endeavor where one realizes that like to promote this notion that everything has its own sense of meaning. Everything. It's easy to see that with your pet dog, but not as easy to see it when you look at a manufactured table. But that manufactured table just may have its own sense of meaning. Not one that I impose on it. I'm saying it has its own sense of meaning. So I don't. Let's see. I hope I'm. The reason
Like that was put there by the designer, or that's
No,
it's intrinsic to
it's
it?
intrinsic in its tableness,
Okay.
shall we say. So using a lot of different materials in each of the installment of this huge, hopefully, installation that will be seen somewhere someday, each of these items has its own intrinsic sense of meaning. And sometimes I am putting it on it, me, but if you think really deeply about it, you'll realize, that rag was once a plant. It was once a cotton plant. It required rain, it required earth, and it required sunshine. These are all things, and all of these things have a valence to them, a purpose. Maybe I'm mixing up a purpose with sense of meaning, but they're not that distant from each other. I mean,
So if I go to the show,
yeah,
I'm going to see some assemblages
yes.
that you've constructed, and I will want to experience the intrinsic meaning of the materials that you're using.
You might. I would hope that you go there, but on another note, maybe you'll just have an experience of the notion of creativity. In other words, putting or a poetic strategy. In other words, putting two or three things together, and thereby by the oddness of these juxtapositions using poetic strategy, you make meaning just from looking at that.
Right.
So there's that aspect to these pieces as well. I think having a sense or and partaking in the creative approach of visual art, looking at it, participating in it, it gives you as a viewer power as well. I'm just right now talking to you, thinking about it. Well, why do people like to watch sports, baseball and stuff like that, football, whatever? A lot of us have had that experience of having the ball thrown at us, of hitting the ball, whatever, all the different sports forms. Well, art is not a sport, but we've all had that experience of creativity.
Right.
So walking in and seeing something kind of unexpected, I hope. I would think. It's interesting because in the article you just wrote, you talked about Clement Greenberg and how he reduced everything to forms.
Oh,
And you were like really glad that's not happening anymore. I'm with you there. I just wanted to tell you. But one of the installments in this group of installations that I'm doing is about form.
Yeah.
But I'm also talking about it on a deeper level, which I think Clement Greenberg was trying to touch upon.
Yeah, I feel my feeling about Clement Greenberg is as he went on in his life, he became more of a kind of caricature of himself. And, it's like form is you have, everything has a form.
Right.
Even conceptual art, that has no physical form, if it's purely conceptual, there's still a form to, there's something that's a way for us to relate to it, Form is always there, but if form is the only content, then you're missing a lot of other stuff, I think.
Yeah. Well, goes back to what we were talking about before about meaning.
Yeah.
Or purpose or whatever. I'm sure if we really got down to it, there's a philosopher could come in here and explain to me why meaning and purpose are not the same thing, but they relate,
right?
For sure.
I feel like we're getting a little bit abstract.
We are.
Which
Let's get back
I'm
to
enjoying it, but I want to hear a little bit more about. Maybe go back to kind of how did you become an artist, and I know that you didn't start out your career as an artist. You said your first job you were working at a carnival. Is that right?
That is true. But it was my own Huck Finn moment, really. I just wanted to.
How old were you?
I'm thinking I was 16.
Yeah.
15, 16. I'm thinking, I can't recall now, but I'm pretty sure I was 16.
You were a teenager anyway.
Oh, yeah. That was, it's like I grew up in northern Wisconsin, which is very rural and provincial, and just the notion of hanging out and doing something weird like that just was very appealing. Also, my friend who's passed away, Tyrone was his name, which is such an unusual name right off the bat, But he suggested that we go down to the carnival, which was coming to town, and seeing if we could get some job or not. And then this guy these guys were all from Mississippi, which is like, wow.
Very different from Wisconsin.
Holy moly, they even talked different, and they even used words differently. And it was just, to me, it was quite the eye-opener, anthropologically, which, of course, it was a word I didn't even know back then. But so that was the wonder of it all, and the curiosity and working with people. That was really... that was a very cool event.
I wonder, because there's something, I think, that when you're talking about the wonderment, the curiosity, even the social aspect and all of that with the carnival, and that I think is in your work now as an artist. And, sometimes people think, if you're because just anyone listening to this, you'll go off into philosophy and spirituality, all this stuff. There's a lot of ideas in your work, which for some people... they might think, this is like confusing conceptual art. But there's another aspect of your work that I think is very accessible and very much like you want it to be just as fun, maybe as a carnival, or as, to give that sense of wonderment.
I like that a lot. Yeah. That
like, is this like a balance that you have to consciously put into the work between kind of, let's say, like the intellectual side and... I don't know, something that's like more just, what do you say, just like pure playfulness or accessibility?
Where I grew up, there was a lot of folk artists, and some of them have gone on to become, not gone on, they're acknowledged. The Kohler Foundation in southern Wisconsin, which is a different state than northern Wisconsin, but Sheboygan is where they're from, and they start buying up art from folk artists in Wisconsin. And there was a grotto Dickeyville Grotto, incredible, incredible, and I love that. And there's also in Phillips, northern Wisconsin, this guy who had a bar, and he saved all the bottles and made sculptures out of them. Fred Smith, I think his name was Smith for sure. And my parents would, every weekend we'd go off somewhere, just go up to Minocqua and have some smelt. You know what smelt is?
The little fish. Yeah.
Yeah. What a name for a food. Would you like to get a serving of smelt? Anyway, we would wander around the state and see. That was always part of it. And back then, when I was a kid, the restaurants were more like folk art than they were like they are today, with, paintings from the people that lived there. So what happened, I think it's rather unfortunate. I think folk art, like all the different forms of art, they get siloed.
Sure.
And like I was saying before, why not barbering? And there are people who think that way. Joseph Beuys, one of my he's a wonderful artist. He created the Green Party with two colleagues who were political scientists. He did a lot of what initially looks kind of nutty, but when you investigate, you see how deep it is.
Yeah.
So that's kind of like, I think my work has that vernacular look to it. But if you're willing to or interested enough, it could take you a lot further.
Yeah.
But if you're not, I think you will enjoy seeing it anyway.
Right. Boyce is a good parallel, maybe, because I think on the one hand, he was very heady and conceptual and all that, but also, like you said, he started the Green Party. I mean, his whole idea of social sculpture, is that like a conversation can be art, and like the idea of bringing people together and having that communal aspect to it, I think is certainly that's part of his legacy.
Did you know that he got kicked out of teaching in Dusseldorf at the university he taught at?
Oh, I think I heard about,
He let anybody who wanted to take his course take
Yeah.
his course. There were housewives from Dusseldorf that wanted to
Yeah.
take his course. They had no art background. He didn't believe that.
Yeah.
Everybody kind of has a share in that. He was a student of Rudolf Steiner, who
Right.
started the Waldorf School, started anthroposophy, started biodynamic gardening, all these different things.
Coming out of like the Theosophical Society.
Sort of
kind
parallel.
Yeah, parallel. Yeah.
So yeah, I like to have wider definitions of things,
Yeah.
and where anybody can engage. And so consequently, like you're saying, I think coming to see the exhibition, I think anybody could relate.
Yeah.
And,
So when did you become an artist? When did that happen?
well,
Where you said I'm an artist now.
oh gosh, that's funny. So I when I left high school to go to college.
Yeah.
I did really poorly in college at first.
What was your major, or did you have one at that
Well, I
point?
didn't have one. I
Yeah.
just tried to take care of those, what do you call them, the things you have to take, and I
Yeah.
did very poor. But then after, in the second year, you have to make a decision as to what to take. And I took something called speech as a major. Well, back then it was called speech. Now they call it communication or
Right,
communication
sure.
arts. And it interests me a lot. I couldn't see where I was going to go with it. What do you do with speech? I don't know. So they had a radio, TV, and film department as part of the speech. That's when I thought, that led me to have an interest in art from there. Filmmaking and all that stuff's super expensive and takes a lot of knowledge, you need to know a lot of different things.
Yeah.
And so I just wanted to keep it as simple as possible. So I started just painting and doing this and that.
But were you taking art classes then? Like, were you taking painting classes?
I took TV and film, which was part of the speech department.
Right.
And then this was at University of Wisconsin, and I dropped out. And I applied to go to the San Francisco Art Institute. I say this, back then it was just a tail end of the hippie movement.
Yeah.
And for me, this kid from northern Wisconsin going to San Francisco, oh man, I know I ended up with a degree from that school, but I don't remember even going there. Everything was so strange and weird, and and all these things I didn't know much about.
And you loved it, or it was confusing?
No, I loved it.
Yeah.
Meeting all these strange people, learning about all these different philosophies and wisdoms, so to speak, and all the freedom and super creative times back then. Of course, Vietnam was rolling.
Right.
That was frightful.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It was cool. Feel very fortunate that my background allowed me, or my folks were, they gave me credibility to make my own choices.
Yeah.
I was very lucky in that respect, but that's a whole other story too. There's reasons for that, but it was good.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like, that was a time when, kind of the anti-war movement and the student movements generally, artists were very much involved in that. And you had this sort of generational divide. I'm still amazed when I look at, films from just like the early 60s, all the men are wearing suits and hats. And it's like just in a few years, aesthetically, the long hair and more color and all, just like the world drastically changes. And I think now it's like, artists are involved in, trying to, work for social justice, or, but I think that the kind of like radical disruption of that time was very distinctive and really unlike any other period.
Yeah. Right now it's a lot more broken up. Oh, this is an interesting point. Social justice as a concern in the arts today. There's a group up in Santa Fe, H&H Arts Gallery is part of it, and Matthew Contos is starting something. He's also, and Lucy Lepard. All these people are putting something together. Apparatus Collective, I think, is Matthew's thing. I'm sorry, I can't remember. At any rate, how do we pull all these diverse communities together? Because you've got like your queer community, and then you got your Gaza concern, and then you got anti-capitalist. I mean, there are all these.
Sure.
It's all so it's like music today too. There's all these different little tiny niches of music, as opposed to back then. It was like more like rock. Now rock still exists, but it's so small compared to all these other things. Anyway, for me, I've thought a lot about this, and I think that the way that I have decided to approach it is one of the unifiers. So, and I think building community is the other thing that needs to be done in order to do that. Back then, it was really easy. You're talking about the long hair and the colorful clothing.
Sure.
You'd see somebody walking down the street. That's my community.
Yeah. It's harder to tell now sometimes. You can't always
Very
tell
much.
just by how someone looks. They might actually, not agree with you on everything, But with the time we have, I want to talk a little bit, at least, about Axel Contemporary.
Great.
Tell us about that, how that started, what it is. So it's basically like a art gallery on wheels, I guess.
Yeah.
You could say.
Yeah, it's a nonprofit. And like I was talking about earlier, for me, I was trying to reach out to more people so I can park. So anyways, I was meeting with my friend Matthew Chase Daniel.
Yep.
And he was doing his art work, taking photo portraits, doing different things. And so he came by and did a portrait session with me, and we were just talking, just like you and I right now, just kind of goofing around. And I mentioned something. Oh yeah, I have a little casita a trailer, and I said, well, I was thinking of converting that into a gallery. And he had seen this really truly beautiful early 1950s 1-ton truck with a big flatbed behind it. And we were saying, well, let's do that. Why don't we just do it? Let's make some gallery. Let's do it. Which, I don't know how we got enthused and crazy enough to actually, pull the trigger and do it. But we found an old bread delivery truck that up in Colorado Springs, and we drove up there and we looked at it, and it's all aluminum and just so cool looking. And fortunately, Matthew's very handy, so he was able to fix it up, and we took it out showed it at the rail yard, and within a few weeks, as luck would have it, some guy, I can't remember if he was from the New York Times or the Wall Street Journal. Doesn't matter. Some New York hotshot guy wrote an article about Axel Contemporary, and boom, we said, "Uh-oh, this is actually something here. We gotta hang with it."
Sometimes you're just in the right place at the right time, I guess.
Yeah, maybe you always are, and you don't know it.
Oh, maybe. Well, that's deep.
I know it occurs to me.
Yeah.
It's like that notion of time. Time doesn't exist. What do you mean by that? Well, it's because, and this goes with, I'm sorry to dash into this, but I'll go quickly. My exhibition, Navigators,
Yes.
on the edges of becomings, that's because what I'm thinking is what has happened is transferring into what is, which is transferring to what will be all at once. So what's time when you have all at once? And that's kind of one of the aspects of the exhibition.
Well, I'm excited to see it and to see if I can, get that sense of time's progress and where I'm at
Yeah.
in it. Maybe progress isn't the word. You're saying it's more of simultaneous.
Yeah, kind of all happening all at once. Yeah. That's why I don't believe in death. I mean, I know I'm going to cease to exist, but I'm not sure that we carry our people. I look at you, I'm seeing, 30 generations right there. Somewhere along the line, you and I are related even. And it's just
I guess all of humanity, if you go back far enough, right?
Yeah.
I recently, last year, found out that one of my ancestors was in New Mexico. My grandfather's great-great-grandfather, William Rafe Taylor. I knew he fought in the Civil War. He was born in a slave-owning state, but fought for the Union, and kind of went against his family for that. And then afterwards, this is what I just found out, he was part of a Buffalo Soldier regiment. He was a white guy, but they had, I guess, white officers, and they were out here in the 1870s and 80s. So I have some connection to New Mexico that I didn't
even know.
I didn't know about. But I think about those times. The past is still with us in many ways. It's not that long ago, and I think it's important to remember where we come from, to think about where we're going.
And I think that past is just a glimmer, right? You just vaguely know of it.
Yeah.
Well, the future is exactly the same.
Right.
It's just a glimmer, and we vaguely know. So very mysterious.
Yeah.
And that word mysterious has the same root word as mystic.
Right.
And I don't know, I'm very comfortable in that area for sure. the area in which, well, there's so much we just can't know.
Right.
And you just have to, so I've been reading the Stoics lately. Let me recommend people to read the Stoics right now. We are living in times where that kind of thinking can help us navigate our times as well.
Yeah, because they lived in politically difficult times. There were tyrants that would come to power, but they found a way to live with virtue and authenticity, no matter what else was going on, I guess. I find it also comforting to read.
I like that word authenticity, by the way.
Yeah.
I think that's a very important word. It's difficult to find your authenticity, I think. I mean, for me, in a way, it was simpler because of where I grew up, and the fact I escaped is because, and as I was saying, my parents were pretty comfortable with my decisions.
Yeah.
It allowed me an easier access to my authenticity, shall we say. But I think that's a meaning, purpose, authenticity. All of these are really good words for us to dance with.
And it seems like, your life is going to go on for many decades to come, but up until now, you've had a great, you've been able to live, I think, a pretty authentic life and life of an artist. I mean, from joining the carnival to then going out to California and all of that, and then just and then being an artist, starting Axel, and now doing in the Navigators series you're doing. Your life is I think something a lot of people would envy and would say, I wish I had that kind of freedom in my life as well.
Well, in some ways, I feel like it's more attitudinal than, because I don't know the poet Wallace Stevens that well. I've read some of his poems and was impressed.
Yeah.
But when I found out he was an insurance company executive, so I mean, I think one can be authentic and still have to do the dance of our society. Does it command us to do it? Not really, but
compels.
There's the word.
Strongly suggests that you
always
have a way to survive.
Hang with the journalists. They know the words. Compels. That's a good one.
Well, I hope people will come out to the exhibition and will feel inspired and by the sense of mystery and, I guess, see
joy, wonder, authenticity, all these wonderful words. And I'll be speaking on the 24th. So we'll see how that goes.
24th of January.
Yeah, at El Zaguan. It's on Canyon Road.
In Santa Fe.
I don't have the exact address. And, gosh, it was I feel it was really a nice, great conversation that we've had, Logan.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for being here. I really appreciate it.
All right.